Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of The Top Brass. I am Jennifer Goldman. I'm a management consultant helping nonprofit organizations achieve their missions in more effective ways. And the topic I wanted to talk to you about today is about budgeting. I've been doing a lot of funding planning with nonprofit organizations this year, and one of the terms that I have come to really hope nobody uses in the future is a shoestring budget. It has been said a million times. I'm sure it will be said again, hopefully not in my presence. But if I can stop you from saying that, I would love to, because I don't want all the nonprofit organizations to feel like they are operating on a shoestring budget. And I know at times in our lives, personal or professional, we all feel that way. Like money is tight, things are tight, things are getting super expensive right now. Inflation is a big deal. Gas, just getting to work or running errands is a big deal. But I believe in planning. And I'm going to tell you a little story about how, or part of what motivated me to start my company. I used to run a nonprofit organization, and not long after I formed my company, so I guess this isn't how I started my company, but where my heart really lied and pointing my company toward its mission of helping nonprofits, I was watching other nonprofit leaders in the area that I lived in at the time begging for things. I would see it on social media. I would see it in our, day-to-day meetings and places I would go, people begging for money, begging for board members, begging for volunteers. I remember seeing somebody begging for volunteers the day of the event or thing that they needed help with. It was like, come run right now, save me, help me. And I feel like a lot of nonprofits operate this way, like panic mode. Running behind the eight ball, always needing things, not having the resources that they need. And I understand it. I ran a nonprofit myself, and I know that mindset. I know what it feels like. It's anxiety and tension all the time. So what I'm here to do is to help nonprofits learn how to plan and operate more like a business. And part of that starts with the planning and the budgeting of just getting yourself out of the mindset of the shoestring budget. So if I can talk you out of, not just using the words, but not having that in your mind, changing the way you feel about the business that you're running. And a nonprofit is a business. You will hear me say that over and over and over again. It really is. The first thing you do when you want to start a nonprofit organization is you go to your state government site and you form an LLC. It's the first thing you do for a nonprofit organization. So if I can help you with budgeting, funding planning, please let me know. I made a list of questions, so you're going to see maybe my eyes shift as I'm reading them, because I want to make sure I get them right, of ways to help you shift your mindset and maybe help your board shift the mindset of the things you need to do to plan a little more appropriately. And that is, number one, if you have a staff of only one, just the executive director, and that is it, think about all the work that that person does, and maybe all the work that's being left on the table that volunteers aren't taking care of, maybe the board isn't taking care of. Are you staffed appropriately? Would your organization benefit from having more than one employee, even if it's just 1.5 employees? Would more things be getting done? Would they be getting done more efficiently and effectively? If so, then you need to put in next year's budget the staff for the additional people that you need to help run the organization properly. I know it's difficult in today's time to think about adding such large things to your budget, but really when you think about it, it is an investment in the future. And that is something that I strongly believe in for every business person, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, is be thinking about growth and sustainability. Is what you're doing right now sustainable? Is having that one employee only working, they probably feel like they're working 24/7. I know it's not quite that extreme, but if it would benefit, at least just giving that person the space to take care of themselves a little bit better by having more staff, then plan for that salary. Look at your office space. Where is your employee working from? I know that's probably a little less valid right now than it was before the pandemic, because most people are working from home. But a lot of nonprofit organizations who have an office have really what I'm going to call subpar office space. They are in other people's basements. When I say people, I mean commercial spaces, other businesses. They're in the basements of things. They're just in the places that you would not really want to be. Take a look at it. If you were to bring prospective clients there, prospective donors there, would you be embarrassed by it? I think some nonprofit leaders have the mindset of people should see us suffering and being poor so that they know we're not just, enjoying status symbols. I'm not driving a fancy car. I'm not wearing the best clothes. I don't have big bling. My office isn't absolutely stunning. So you know that all the money you're giving us is going toward our mission. When in reality, what you're doing is you're sort of setting the tone for this is where we operate. This is where we are. We're not impressive. Sometimes it gives the impression you're not organized. When in reality, people are more likely to give when they feel like you're operating here. When you're operating here, they start to wonder, what will you be doing with my money? Because when I look around the space that you're working in, you're clearly not spending any of it to, to take care of yourselves administratively. So take a look at that. Does your office space need upgrading? And might just be, cleaning it out, organizing it. Maybe it's in filing cabinets. It might not be in moving spaces. So just take a look at that. If you were someone who was about to give you cash, a donation, is this the kind of place you would expect to walk into? Is this the kind of place that looks impressive? It doesn't have to be super fancy. It just needs to be nice and clean and organized and give a person a good impression that you're in a space that is productive. And so what about your messaging, your branding, your marketing? What is it saying about your organization? Do you have any of that? Do you have it, and is it consistent? Do you need to be paying somebody to put that branding and those messages out there in a more effective way? That's something that I would recommend outsourcing. So you may need budget for that. If your staff member or members or your volunteers, board members aren't good at branding, messaging, marketing, if you don't have any of those people in your staff or on your board, put it in your budget to hire somebody to take care of that for you. Take a look at your programs. Which ones are performing fantastically? If they're performing fantastically, could they be doing even more fantastic if you gave them additional resources? Which ones of your programs are not performing well? Which ones need additional resources in order to bring them up to this level? And which ones are sort of a waste of your resources? You know what, we need to cut our losses here. This is not going to be a great program for us. So take a look and evaluate those things and start budgeting for where additional resources need to go, or maybe you need to be shifting them. The programs that aren't doing well, maybe shift the resources you're giving to that program or programs to the ones that will perform better, or new things you want to start. How about your equipment? I run into a lot of nonprofit organizations that are using the oldest computers, the oldest flash drives. They're still using CDs instead of flash drives, printers that barely work, fax machines instead of, an iPad or a computer that can, scan and email things on their own. So take a look at that. Does your equipment need to be updated? You should be able to keep up with technology in the times. Maybe not the latest and greatest, but at least, maybe less than 5 years old for your stuff. That would be great. If you don't have that, then budget for it. Also, which one of your expenses, when you go through your budget, do you have expenses that are really, really tiny? And you're thinking, wow, that's all we spend on this. And it's because you've just been making do. That's a big one that I see for nonprofits as well, is making do with what you have instead of getting new or upgrading or updating. And that's not just your equipment, that is everything. So which one of your expenses do you feel, when you really look at it, it probably should be higher? We should be spending more on this particular thing. Maybe it's printing for advertising and things you're doing to promote yourselves, to build awareness. And maybe it's the marketing budget because you've been handling it all yourselves, but nobody's really good at it. Things of that nature. So go take a look and see which expenses look really small to you by comparison to what you think the average business would be spending. And then look at your goals. How should you be spending your money to achieve your goals? What is it that your organization would do if money were no object? And think about that for a minute. I mean, I know money is an object, but if money were no object, what else would your organization be doing? And how can you possibly just grab maybe a foothold on it? Just start moving in that, in that direction. What would you do? So when you're looking at your budget, I want you all to be really strategic and start thinking, not just how can we make do with what we have, or how can we make do with less because times are tough, but where do we need to go? How do we need to be helping the target market that we are here to serve through our mission? What needs to happen to our budget in order to do a better job of that? How can we attain that? How can we show our value and get more donations, plan for the things that we need? I would prefer to see nonprofit leaders going, we're here, but our goal is here. So we're going to add to our budget and we're going to figure out how to get us from here to here instead of saying, well, we're here, but we really don't have any money. So this year we need to be here. Don't do that. Don't sink down because we need you. Nonprofits are fantastic. You guys do such a wonderful job of serving the population everywhere in various ways. Every nonprofit has a mission with a heart of gold. I know you intend to do beautiful, wonderful things. So let's figure out how you can find the money to do that. Let's not settle back and try to make do with less. Let's try to figure out how we can ramp up and plan so that we can get more and do more. So if I can help you with that, please let me know. It was definitely a passion of mine to make sure that you have the resources you need to do the mission work that you want to be doing. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great day.